The Chuck Knoxx Show. Don't go to bed Mondays without it.
And we are live. Welcome back into the Chuck Knoxx Show here on a post-game edition. Week 16 post-game as the Giants have just fallen in a heartbreaking fashion to the Minnesota Vikings on the road, 27-24 by a last-second 61-yard field goal. And boy, right here on Christmas Eve, talk about a really shitty way to start your Christmas holiday season off. Come on in, everybody. This is a special edition, Christmas Eve. We're all pissed off right now. I'm recording this in the garage. Holiday festivities are well underway, but we have to get this done, and you know how things go here. This has been like games like this all season long, and every single fourth quarter, you never know what's going to happen. Many chances for the Giants to walk away with a huge, absolutely monster win today, but couldn't get the job done. Oh, man, I'm so fucking frustrated. Unbelievable fourth quarter. God. Before we forget, the Chuck Knoxx Show is, of course, brought to you by BetUS.com. Wherever you're getting this podcast from, make sure you check the link in there. You're going to get hooked up. We're going to get hooked up. You know the routine. So get that out of the way. And where to start? This game was frustrating from the start because the Giants had multiple chances to win this game. The two turnovers, the one especially, the initial Bellinger fumble, which resulted in 3 points for the Vikings, really was the story of the game, but can't just pinpoint it all on one turnover. There were multiple really ridiculous drops in this game, multiple penalties that we should have had gone back. You know, you knew Jefferson was going to get everything he was going to get. Going into this game, there was no doubt that Jefferson was going to get his. But it was a matter of how would the Giants respond? The Giants responded pretty damn well. Daniel Jones had a pretty good game today. Very good game. Other than that really ridiculous interception, he lost that fumble. But thank God it was recovered by Evan Neal, or that would have been even worse. And who knows what would have happened for the rest of the game if the momentum would have swung that direction. But just a wild second half, momentum back and forth between these teams. And we're going to get into this as we recap the game here. But of all the losses, and there's been a lot of close games, there's been a lot of 1-score, 2, 3-score wins and close losses for the Giants. This one, just for me, and what was at stake, this one hurts a lot. This one is much different than the rest of them. And this was a true playoff matchup here. The Giants knew coming into this game, a win here at Minnesota on the road, and two of three teams losing, and you were going to get in the playoffs. And of course, lo and behold, the way things always work out for us, everything that we needed to happen, which never happens for us, actually went our way, and we couldn't get our own fucking job done. But the bottom line, that's what this game boils down to. You had everything to play for and many chances to do it and seal it, and you couldn't get the job done. And I know there's a lot of Giants fans who are very proud of this team today. I'm one of them. I'm proud of the way the Giants came out. I'm terribly pissed at how they finished, because they didn't finish. They led us right to the promised land and couldn't get the job done. Let's go back to start how this game started all the way back in the first quarter, which feels like an eternity ago. These two teams start off trading 2 punts apiece right off the bat. Punt here, Minnesota opens up. They get a first down and punt. Giants take the ball. They get a first down and punt. Landon Collins came up on the next Minnesota possession in the first quarter with a big stop on third down. Vikings had to punt again, but right back to it. Vikings D responds, Giants had to punt. So right away, you're talking about first quarter. Is this feeling out little jabs here and there? And the Scottish Hammer, he giveth and he taketh away, because he's going to come up later on with early on, his first 65-yard punt on that second punt from the Giants, which put the Vikings way back with their backs to the wall. But right here began the Justin Jefferson show, and it seemed like right away, okay, these first two punts were going to go off, and then here comes the Jefferson show. Vikings starts driving down the field, and it ends with a touchdown as Cousins hits Hockenson in the end zone. Vikings go up 7-0 with 3:17 to go. And the Giants start a nice drive at the end of the first quarter. Get a few first downs, and right here you were looking at the battle of 18s. Justin Jefferson over there on Minnesota, best receiver in the league. And here comes the Giants matching 18s with our 18 as Isaiah Hodgins has been nothing but fantastic. I get on a lot of these receivers. I don't get on Hodgins because this guy plays his ass off. He had a couple huge plays on this drive, sending the Giants in at the end of the first quarter, down 7-0. Good guys trail. And as we go into that commercial break, I'm thinking, I love this feeling right now. Giants look like they're going to respond. Looks like they're going to have a quick, maybe even a quick touchdown drive here and tie it up 7-7. But the very first play of the second quarter, Jones hits Bellinger up the middle, but Belly fumbles the ball on a big first down, and the Vikings take over. And this would, of course, be a huge play because after the Giants stop Cousins with an Azeez sack, Azeez Ojulari sacks Cousins and forces the Vikings to take a field goal, and they're up 10-0. Big hole from the Giants. That turnover cost us 3 points, but the Giants go down 10-0 with 9:40 to go in the half. But what you wanted to see from a team that was headed to the playoffs was a quick momentum swing like this. What would be the test? Well, the Giants quickly respond with a nice long drive that ends themselves with a touchdown as Dimes hits Hodgins with 4:23 to go in the end zone. How about that? Boom, 10-7. Giants making a nice quick comeback. And this would be pretty much the story for the rest of the game. One team would do something. Next team would kind of at least match it, or they'd go punt for punt. Literally just trading blows left and right. Giants D comes up big here, though, on the next offensive possession from Minnesota with a quick 3-and-out. Vikings had to punt. They get a nice deep punt back into the Giants' end zone, but the Giants take over with 2:44, and quickly, right out of the gate, Dimes hits Hodgins again with a huge 29-yard play, first down. Before you know it here, the Giants are battling out of that back end of the end zone, moving the ball. Looks like they're going to put a nice drive together, but they are quickly held out of field goal range and forced to punt with 43 seconds to go as the half ends with a Leonard Williams sack of Kirk Cousins. And we go into the half, despite all of that bullshit, and despite trading back and forth, 10-7, our kind of game. I love it. Love the momentum here. Giants are going to get the ball at the end of the half, and you can feel the momentum is clearly on the side of the New York Football Giants. And that's exactly what happens as the Giants come out with a nice drive, couple first downs, moving the ball down the field. They're held to a field goal, but Gano ties it up 10-10. Quickly, the Giants have tied the game now, and now this is where things start to just become a total war. And on the next possession for the Vikings, they're unable to get anything going here as the defense, Giants defense, all over them. And on a huge third down, Pinnock comes up with a nice blitz, gets a nice hit on Cousins early, forces him to have a really shitty, incomplete pass, and the Vikings are starting off the half with a punt. Giants take the ball back here, and this is, look, I've been on Richie James nonstop over the course of this season as another guy that giveth and he taketh away. And he really taketh away more than not. But here was a big first down from Dimes to Richie James, 33 yards. Maybe the play of the season for Richie James here. Huge play. But once again, as we're jabbing, despite the big play here and the momentum coming from the Giants, the Vikings D, once again, is able to hold the Giants out of the red zone. But Gano and the Giants are forced to kick a field goal, and Gano drills it and gives the Giants their first lead of the game as the New York Football Giants go up 13-10 here late in the third quarter. And then one of two major plays that looked to go the Giants' way and looked to be a total momentum killer for the Vikings get eroded here on this next drive. What looked like it was going to be a big turnover from Kirk Cousins as Cordell Flott stops him on a nice drive here with a huge interception. But as they, of course, have to review every turnover, they deem that this ball hit the ground, which it did. And, of course, it gives the Vikings the ball back. And after that, the call is reversed, and that really gets the end of the third quarter here. But as the quarter ends, as we're heading into the fourth quarter, that was a real blow to the Giants' defense. That was a huge turnover. It looked like the ball and the Giants were going to have the ball here and stop the Vikings from climbing down in the red zone. But that does not happen, and before you know it, the third quarter ends with the Giants going backwards here on defense. And just a few minutes later, in the fourth quarter, Cousins hits Hawkinson in a nice fade route in the end zone, touchdown, and right there, the Vikings take the lead back. Boom, 17-13. Giants now finding themselves on the receiving end of having to come back again. And what are you going to do? You have no choice but to respond, and that's what the Giants do. This looked like a really promising drive, again, from the Giants and Jones, but here was the killer. This was another killer here. Patrick Peterson was a huge problem for the Giants all day long. Had a good game against Hodgins, even though they were having a battle against one another. But he comes up with a huge interception right here. And just as the Giants were driving, they're already down. Now there's a turnover. And it was the first interception from Jones in the last 5 games, and it was a killer interception here. But although, that interception stopped the momentum and it stopped the drive and obviously took points, potential points off the board, the Giants defense answering the bell at all times here. And this was around the time when I first learned, I don't know what play had happened, and as we're recording this right now, I don't know when Azeez went out of the game. This was around the time Leonard Williams we saw Leonard check out. I don't know the status of them, but you could feel the D clearly felt the lack of their presence here. But despite that, the Giants do get the ball back, coming up with a huge fourth down play. The Vikings came out here on just over midfield and a very short, 4th and 4, I think it was, 4th and 5. And a very short, I thought for sure they were just going to try and draw us off sides. And they did not. They actually went for it. But it was a nice stop by the Giants D. And now they have the ball with a short field, and they take over here for a nice drive. Jones, here's another one, hits Richie James on a big third down pass, gets the Giants in the red zone. Unable to score and go to the end zone, but Gano puts up another one, a 55-yard field goal with 6:24 left in the game. And right there, your Giants trail by 1 point, 17-16. As somebody who has lived through and nearly died in every single one of these Giants games this year, I'm already knowing what this next 6 minutes is going to be like. It's going to be hell. Blood pressure is rising. Heart attack. Family's going to have to find me dead on the floor in the man cave on Christmas Eve. No, seriously, that was exactly what I thought was about to happen. This was a point where it was like, it's one of those moments of clarity. You're like, why in the world? Every single week, does every single week have to be like this? I know we're not the only team that plays, close games or has these types of miraculous losses or wins, but my God, of all times, waiting for a Christmas miracle here, down by 1 point, 6:24, plenty of time, you're going to get the ball back, and what happens? Giants defense comes out on fire. Big sack here from Smith and Dex as the Giants immediately get the ball back. Only 2 minutes went off the clock here. The Giants have forced a big punt at 4:24 left. They're down by 1 point, and they're getting the ball back, ladies and gentlemen. But like I said earlier, this game was weird because if one team couldn't do nothing, the next team, when they get the ball back, they couldn't do nothing. And we saw it here once again as the Giants forced Minnesota to punt. Big play here, big chance, big opportunity, 4:24 left. They can't do shit. Can't do shit. Vikings forced the Giants to punt. Now you're like, okay, this is a one-score game. What is going to happen here? because clearly we need to get the ball back, and we have plenty of time to get the ball back, and that's exactly what happens. But just as you think you have it all figured out, Giants are going to punt the ball, and we're going to go trade off here, maybe get the ball back with a few minutes left to go in the game. Guess what? Not going to happen. Huge block here by the Minnesota Vikings on the punt, which gives them the ball right in the red zone. This was the second time in the last few weeks that the Scottish Hammer has had a really fucked up punt. It almost looked like he just took too long to get the ball out. It looks like he just waited just an extra second, and that was all that it took for the Vikings, who take over here, and just a few seconds later, once again, they are able to score a touchdown as Kirk Cousins hits Jefferson in the end zone on third down, 24-16, going up 8 points now with only 3 minutes left in the game. And your heart's racing now. This is worst case scenario here. Giants are going to have to go 75 yards. Plus, you got to get the 2-point conversion. If you're a naysayer and you're pessimistic at this point, you're probably dejected, not even going to pay attention, just waiting for the inevitable, right? Nah, doesn't happen here. Daniel Jones and Saquon Barkley put together an unbelievably quick drive, 75 yards, mostly Barkley here, which a huge chunk came right up the middle. I don't even know how long that play was, but Barkley busted off a nice few runs here, extending the drive. And before you know it, in under 1 minute, the Giants, Barkley scores on that huge touchdown run up the middle. Now you got to have the 2-point conversion, and in the back of the end zone, Jones has to roll out. Doesn't look like nothing's going to be open, but he somehow finds Bellinger in the very back of the end zone. And holy shit, with 2 minutes to go, the Giants tie this game up, do the impossible to go 75 yards in over a minute and complete the 2-point conversion. Unbelievable. I had no doubt at this point that we were going to win this game because, you can't kill this team. How are you going to beat the Giants if you can't kill them? They won't die. But 2 minutes is a lot of time in the NFL. The Vikings here had 2 timeouts. I think the Giants had 3. But in the end, the story of the game here in the final 2 minutes, the Giants had a few shitty penalties all throughout this game. They reemerge here. And I was very frustrated here because you got Jefferson. And I understand that. All eyes are going to be on him. But if Minnesota, you know who they're looking for, why send everybody on a play like this where you're under 2 minutes, you're playing for field position, and a guy like Jefferson, he eats up space, he creates space. Why give him more space? But that's what happened. And before you knew it, a couple plays here, boom, between Cousins and Jefferson, the Vikings find themselves right here with no time left in an attempt to win this game, and all they got to do is make a 61-yard field goal with time expiring. And, of course, that's what happens. There it is. Giants, the field goal is good. Giants head into Christmas 8-6-1 as they drop this terrible game here, 27-24. And look, I'm Mr. Positivity. I'm Mr. Always looking for the glass half full. And the glass is half full. Look, there's no reason to be, the sky is falling. This team has every reason to still find themselves in the playoffs. They likely will. They have to beat Indianapolis, and then 1 or 2 other things happen. But the majority of everything favors the Giants pulling this off. But this is why I am upset. Because you're a playoff team. You're already known as the team that has the least talented roster. You have the least amount to work with. Somehow, some way, Brian Dable and company have got this team on the verge of a playoff berth in year 1 of what is still a complete rebuild. But because so many of these guys buy into this system, believe into each other, and doesn't matter how many practice squad guys they have to sign, they continue to just move the ball, move the chains, and move the statistics and the standings in their direction. But today, you had every reason to come in here and show the rest of these teams in the NFC. I understand that Minnesota's fighting for home field with Philadelphia Eagles. Uphill battle, but they are. But hey, it doesn't matter. I know you've lost only once in your home all season. Doesn't matter. We're going to come in here with half a roster and earn this playoff spot today. You needed 2 of those 3 teams to lose, and 2 of them did. So far, 2 of them did. And all you had to do was win. And you didn't do it. So, yeah, there's so many things to point to today that show you that this team has the heart to compete in the playoffs. Trust me, nobody in the NFC wants to play this team. Nobody. You think the Cowboys want to play this Giants team a third time? You think a team like Tampa, who can barely crawl in because somebody has to win that division, they want to see the Giants week 1? You think the Vikings want to see us again? Nobody. That's a tough out. The Giants are a tough out. But they're going to get in the playoffs because next week they're going to beat a really shitty Colts team. When you had a chance today to announce that you're in the playoffs by taking the head off of somebody who was a top dog in the NFC, and you didn't get it done. And you didn't get it done because you fucked up. You blew it. You blew it. Come the middle of the week, maybe tomorrow, I'll feel different. I'll probably feel different because we're still headed in the right direction. And there's one thing that we all can be happy about. This is December football. This is a December 24th, Christmas Eve, Christmas Day podcast. And we're playing for everything still. First time in a long time. But we knew going into this, we had 3 weeks left. And we're still going to be fighting for a playoff spot. We still can't clinch it. So, yeah, I'm pissed. I wanted to go into the holiday season wrapping this up and having no doubts. But we should have known. You should have known. Every win has had to come by a fucking miracle. Not a miracle, but, they rip your heart out. They don't make nothing easy. So, getting into the playoffs obviously was not going to be an easy thing. But regardless, listen. The Giants are headed in the right direction. Barring an unbelievable disaster, they're going to make it in the playoffs. So this hurts, this stings, but there's a lot to look forward to. We'll break it all down all week long. But to get away from this for 1 second here, obviously this is the holidays, so more importantly, I hope that all you Giants fans, and some of these non-Giants fans that might be listening to this, maybe you're a Vikings fan, you just want to hear a dejected Giants podcast. So to everybody out there, I hope you guys are having a happy holidays and a Merry Christmas. This was not the end of the holiday season or the midst of it that we wanted to have happen. But, in the next few hours, it's going to be Christmas, and there's going to be a lot of Giants gear opening up on Christmas Day, and maybe some smiles will be put on some faces of these fans, and maybe you just are able to forget a little bit more about what happened today. It's going to take me a minute to get this taste out of my mouth. But, it's the holiday season, so we got time to spend with family and friends, and we're on to the next week, folks. We are not stopping. I'm not stopping until we finish this, and we have got to get this done on our own terms. I don't want to see this team have a situation where you just lose out, and then a bunch of shit happens, and we just walk in. That's disgraceful. That's disgusting. And we are better than that. This team belongs in the playoffs, and you fucking had a chance to just take it in your own hands today. But this angry Giants fan is going to have to just deal with it on my own and just let it go. Let it go. We're going to do my best. This week, you're going to see more content. Do something here. I got a little extra time with the holidays off, so there might be a couple more things happening. But as is usual, you know how this is going to go. This is the post-game recap podcast, which will be out today, and a lot of you probably won't hear it till tomorrow. We're going to do the hype video again next week. Head into New Year's Eve. We're ending this 2022 year out, and we're fighting for our lives, and nothing's going to change on my end. You're going to expect the same hype and the same schedule. So we got a lot to push out and a lot to talk about, but spend some time with your family and your friends. This is the holidays. This is the Christmas season. So try not to let the loss make you as mad as it made me during those final few minutes, and enjoy the holidays as much as you can, because next week, when we're on the air one more time, we are going to be a playoff team. Mark my words. We will be a playoff team on the next edition of the Chuck Knoxx Show. Until then, Giants fans, you will hear from me real soon. I'm out.